Have you ever felt like you're not reaching your full potential, or perhaps that you've set some goals and you're not achieving the degree of success that you had hoped for? Well, welcome to the club. I want to share with you that I recently had an incredible coaching conversation with Evan Carmichael. I was able to go through all kinds of things around my doubts, fears, and projections, whether it's looking forward or backwards, with Evan. And he shares some great tips for me to help me to tap into my potential and really start to hit the ground running as I go forward. And I'm really excited about that because I was plateaued before. I hope that you will listen to this conversation that I had with Evan, and please share with me what might resonate with you from this conversation, because I think there's a lot for all of us to gain from. And, share your comments below, because I'd love to get involved with a conversation around this. And, just to let you know, I share a lot of things personally at a level of transparency that I haven't before, because I think my journey is so important to share, because there's a lot of people that may be out there like me that are, did a career pivot or lost a job in midlife and they're trying to make their way. And, I'm not giving up anytime soon. So please check it out.
This type box, I want to bring. You got more Canadian in here. I want Evan to bring plantain dessert to Toronto, and we do an interview. What's the plantain? Gord. Yeah, it's Gord. Yeah, Gord. Gord is in Toronto. Yep. Okay, Gord, let's do the interview, man. Email me, DM me. We'll do the interview. Maybe. Hey, we got it. Okay.
I pressed record if you're okay, because I don't want to forget to do that.
Yeah, go for it. I just came from Skype calls and Google Hangouts, and this is my first Zoom of the day. So the settings always have to be updated for each one. Anyway, we're good. We're here.
I so appreciate this. And believe me, it took a lot of courage for me to do my little thing that I did while you guys were at VidSummit to get an opportunity to speak with you. And I'm so grateful. For like a year or two, I just live 5 miles away from you up in Richmond Hill. I grew up in Forest Hill. Cool. And I'm a YouTuber, and I just want to give you a minute's worth of background from me to tell you about what I'm hoping to talk about today. So I have about 3,900 and change subscribers on YouTube. I've been at it seriously for about 2.5 years. I've been coached by Brian G and Nick Nimmin and people like that. Yep. And I'm 59. I've gone through my share of challenges since 50 plus. And my real legacy goal is to be able to help people and be an example for the boomer that can act, so that they can actually pivot and have a digital career. So I was in IT and had a good career till I was 50 and dumped and let go. I used to work for companies like Price Waterhouse, Oracle. Yep. I have a BCom like you do, and I made my career in computers though. But at 50, I got let go, and that was sort of what sent me into a spin. For 4 or 5 years, I couldn't find myself. I was working in health industry, trying to build a business, and then my friend had a stroke, and I was going to be partner. That never happened. So I started to have to rebuild myself at 55 plus. And then because of my tech roots in my heart, I discovered video through working with some people. And then I started to double down. On YouTube, you'll find, and some people will say, oh, Gord, he's the Camtasia guy. So I'm ranking very high and doing substantially well with everything Camtasia, but I do video editing, video marketing, and YouTube. So that's where I want to focus. But because I came from a corporate world and so focused on building team and team leadership, I was project manager and director there of my group. I'm like 8-9 years of like having had my confidence battling as I'm starting to build in the last 2.5 years, and had years of that before. And the last thing in the mix, and then I'm done. In June, I had a near-death experience. I had an emergency surgery on my brain. I had a subdural hematoma, which is bleeding around the brain with 2.9 centimeter pressure. Like, it was lucky I walked into the hospital, and after they checked out with an MRI and blood, I was emergency rushed to St. Mike's and had a surgery. Thank God everything's intact and my health's even getting better than it was. Turns out I was suffering. The point of that is I was suffering emotionally. Everything was a struggle to do. And I'm so determined because I had a decent career before. I'm looking at downsizing because I own my house in Richmond Hill, but I can't keep going. I've been draining my RSP for years now just to survive. So I want to be an inspiration. And at the same time, I'm struggling with issues around confidence. So I haven't stepped up. So for example, I have 3 courses that I want to bring, but because of fear of competition, different kinds of things, I've sort of played, to use your vernacular, I've played small. I haven't stepped up. Like I remember walking at VidSummit last year with Nimmin, and all of the guys, they're all happy to support me in my launch. And I haven't done anything. I've just continued to be a creator. I love creating. But I've done some, but because my size has grown, and when people search out Camtasia, I've been able to get some nice, work occasionally doing projects for people, helping them build their courses, producing their video, coaching them on their YouTube channel. So, but it's just not enough. And I'm like, I wake up with the little demons daily about financial pressure, how long you're going to keep going, and so much of what your inspiration about and believing. And I wanted to talk about like that and maxing my potential. And my tagline is learn, apply, transform. But the reality is I should be adding believe to that.
Okay.
And that'd be long. But my biggest struggle is actually having the strength in myself to step and do the things that I haven't stepped up to do, like probably a Facebook group, getting those courses out there, not caring about the competition, just, trying to give you context that I'm not a youngster either. And any words of encouragement and coaching around those lines would be like really good.
Perfect. You want to start now, or are you going to do an intro and everything?
Oh, okay.
I don't care. I'm good with anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm recording. I'll edit it together. I guess I can do. I didn't even bring up my OBS, so that's okay. I viewed our experience today. That would be like you recommended. The most value would be to benefit from myself. And if I pull snippets together, that's great. I'm just grateful that we had this time. And I also had a Dashin, by the way, and I loved them when I saw you Dashin now.
You get mine. I close the door when I do interviews, but she's just sitting outside, probably waiting to get pets.
Yeah.
We have a mini one.
Yeah, I had one. He lived to 16 years old, which is incredible for a Dashin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
They're such lovable dogs. They're great.
Okay, so I love that you said that it took a lot of confidence for me to reach out and say, hey, come and be on my show, or would you be on my show? And you gain confidence by doing the things that you're afraid to do.
Mm-hmm.
You gain confidence by thinking about something that you're afraid that's scary for you. And then you go off and you do it. And now you've built a little bit more of that muscle. And what I love doing is I would encourage you to tie your self-worth, your self-respect to the effort that you put in, not to the results. Right. So you probably heard me say that, I guess, a couple of times. But
it's frustrating if I can interrupt there, because oftentimes, like, friends that care so much about me, they say, hey man, you're not doing this and doing that, and you told me you need to do the marketing stuff, and you don't have a landing page to sell this. Yeah, you have your website now, this, that, and the other, but what are you doing in a sales funnel? And I'm not executing on these things. And I go, well, to be honest, being the entrepreneur at this late an age, these things are all new to me, and it scares the crap out of me because it's unknown. So I've been stuck in what I know, and that's why your point is valid, and I interrupted.
And listen, it's not, it's new for everybody. Whether you're 59 years old or 15 years old, like the first time you start editing, it's new.
Mm-hmm.
And so you having had some experiences can even put you ahead of the curve. Like you could probably learn it even faster because you already have a background in tech, and you get committed to something, you can pick it up. You could pick up Camtasia faster than my 9-year-old son could.
Yeah. Well, I've mastered Camtasia, and I have one of the top ranking set of tutorials on it. And I dove deep there to build an anchor in YouTube, and then now to build out my skills and experience in YouTube and other stuff on marketing, video marketing. And so it's worked as a strategy, but you know, I feel small. I'm like, here's Gord at near 4,000. Yes, the small YouTuber will think, wow, that's great. And I'll go, well, not really. Evan just sneezed and there's another 4,000
Sure,
subscribers. So
sure.
the
But I mean, like,
comparison
and
game,
listen, and that
yeah,
never goes away, right?
yeah,
Like, I'm looking at 1.6 as small, and I want to get to 10. You know,
yeah,
like that never goes away, and so you should have a goal to swim forever. I want to. There is no island. There's no destination. I want to keep swimming until I'm dead. Like, you swim forever.
mm,
I think there's a lot of people who can relate to your story. I think there's a lot of people who are older and feel like they don't know where their place is anymore. I think your purpose comes from your pain, and so because
mhm,
your pain was so great, and having to, you know, you had what you thought was a successful and stable career, and then it's just taken
yeah,
away, massively
exactly.
painful. Sharing that story and then seeing what you're doing is an inspiration to a lot of people,
Hmm.
not just to learn how to do Camtasia, but that
Right.
they still can do something themselves as well. And so, to build the confidence, it's taking the idea that you have in your head and then just feeling the fear and doing it. Like,
Mhm,
what's on your list that you're so afraid of doing, and then go off and do it and reward yourself for it, regardless of the
mhm,
result. So it was scary for you to reach out and say, "Hey, Evan, do you want to come on my show?" It ended up being a positive result, but it could have been
yeah,
negative. Like, I could have been a total,
yeah.
a really
No,
mean
it's
person, right? I could have said, "No, Gord, like, I hate your show. I never want to come on or see you ever in life." Like, that could have been,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But it's still, I would still congratulate myself to say I did it. I reached out.
right,
It doesn't matter what the result was. I did the thing that I was scared to do. Where I
right.
think too many people tie their worth to the results, and so because you're so afraid of the results, then you don't take the action. But it's about in the doing, in the action, where you learn and you get better and you build your confidence. And so, like, launching your website or launching the
Yeah.
sales letter. What are you so afraid of for launching the
Yeah.
sales letter?
So for example, I have my website.
Yeah.
I've got my outlines for 2 or 3 courses. I have
Okay.
several influencers, many of them that were at VidSummit, like the
Hmm.
Nimmins, the Brian G's, and others,
Yeah.
and that have been would very Owen that would support me on my launch, and I've done
Right.
collabs with all of them, and it's just about something about I'm fighting about fear of success and fear of failure, like all of these things. And, because of the financial pressure and looking to downsize my house and feeling like it just isn't happening fast enough. And funny thing is, most of the advice I give to my younger cohorts and people that I meet is like, they need patience. And I'm sitting here and I know that's probably part of it. Everyone's growth factor and how quickly they're able to take action on some of these things, I guess is what you're saying, will impact how quickly you're able to move.
Well, I think people have patience and impatience flipped. I think you have to flip it. I think most people get it wrong. I think I think you have to be patient with the results, but impatient with yourself.
Right.
You have to be impatient. Like, today has to matter. Like, what Gord
Yeah.
did today has to matter, and be massively impatient with yourself. That this project has to be out today. I have to get as much done as possible when I put my head on my pillow and go to sleep in my home. It's like, I'm proud of the effort I put in, but then
Yeah.
patient with the results, that the results will come. The challenge for you is you're not doing the work. You're not putting it out there. You created the course, but you haven't launched it.
Yeah. Well,
So it's not
I've
about having
created the
patience.
outline. I haven't created the material for it because I keep falling back into my comfort zone of producing. And now I'm doing a lot of live shows, and it's not building my channel like my normal pre-recorded material does. But I feel there's also this balance of sanity and the creativity. And, there's all this pressure about only do what your audience wants, like really tighten the niche. And I get all of that. But my tutorials are all of these fancy choreographed complete examples built out and tested. And it's not just like I'm just going to sit here and come out and talk today about one aspect and not do my research and creating before. So I have this pressure in my mind that it takes a day and a half, sometimes 2 days, for me to get a fancy tutorial out, and that pressure to create and the time. And, it's just a circle of that. It's like a spin I get into. And then
Yep.
well, how am I going to do the other things, serve clients, do the stuff I want to grow? Like, I'm not touching on the marketing. I haven't started to create the content for the course. So then I find my peace in creating and it's about stepping up and growing. And it's ironic because in my career in IT, I helped coach a team of 15 people and $1.5 million budget, and did great. And now here I am alone trying to wear all the hats. And that's like, interesting how I don't take certain of them on, or maybe I should delegate and somehow find a way to invest in getting assistance on some of those things so I can actually move forward, right? Because I almost feel like it's just too much, Does any of this make sense?
Yeah. So what I'd encourage you to do is make sure your actions have to map to your ambitions. This is where I want to be. This is the life that I want, Then look at your calendar.
Right.
Is what's in your calendar how you spend your day, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and an entire life perspective, is
right.
Not just work, but life. Like, here's my ambition for life. Here's how I want to spend the next X years of my life. Are you doing that? Like in your calendar, the habits that you have, what you're doing, especially work, if you're looking Monday to Friday, if you looked at your next week ahead of you and you did the things that are in your calendar,
right,
would you move closer to accomplishing your goals or not? If zero time is being spent on making your courses, then the answer is probably no.
Right.
Like, what you're doing right now, where that leads you. And so that's not going to help you map to your ambition.
I'm trying to get over whatever that resistance is. And I joke to people, one of the ambitions I do want to do is show that a boomer or someone in mid 50s or whatever, in their, call it second chapter or third chapter of life, whatever, depending on how your angle is, that I can go, my book was going to be called From Resistance to Resilience. And I want to be able to show people that can happen. And I feel like I'm a good chunk of the way down the road. I'm just not as far ahead as I'd like to be, but this experience of my journey is part of what is unfolding, right?
Right. But here's what you've done. You've done the easiest part of the journey. Now is when we actually need your resilience to come through.
Yeah.
This is the part that will actually make you an inspiration for people to follow. Because everything you've done is within your comfort zone or just like a little bit of a step outside. But like this now is a time to be resilient.
Totally.
So if you want to get your course, like you could have your course up and launched by the end of the year and start making money from it.
Yeah.
So so what I would ask myself is like, what would the most resilient version of Gord be doing right now?
Okay. The most resilient version should have a Facebook group or a membership site with a few courses and some different assets and templates and stuff. Be coaching people, have more regular clients, doing video editing and production work and coaching on YouTube, and making enough money to be able to enjoy life and live what I want part of my legacy to be, which is to be able to show others that we're not washed up when the corporation pulls the rug out, and that you can do this. And I talk about this and I really mean it, but I almost feel stuck or embarrassed because, like you said, the real test is on me right now, because I've got the skills, I've got the authority on YouTube in the niche where it is, and and now I need to step up to take advantage of what I've been building. Yeah. So now you do it. Yeah. Right. So like the two things that I would have constantly on repeat in my head is, one, I would ask myself, anytime you face resistance, what would the most resilient version of Gord be doing right now? How would the most resilient version of Gord handle this problem right now? Yeah. I don't have my course out. Great. What would the most resilient version of Gord do? Yeah. I'm afraid to reach out to my friends and ask them to promote me. Great. What would the most resilient version of Gord do? As a constant soundtrack, like print it off and put it on your next to your computer, or make it your background. That's a great way of looking at it, because it's so concise and accurate. Because I know the word resiliency means something to you. Yes, it does. So the other part of it would be, if I'm really stuck, then I would look at future regret and to say, listen, my life is limited. I almost died X number of months ago. Mm-hmm. I don't have a forever to figure this out. Yeah. And what you've done right now has not accomplished your mission. Right. Like if you want it to be the symbol for resiliency for the baby boomers
to say, here's what's possible,
Yeah.
you haven't done it yet.
Right.
And so that's why that I put that pressure on myself all the time. Like, I haven't done it yet. My time is limited, even though I'm 38 and in relatively, decent health. I still put that on myself, that like, I haven't done enough yet. I'm still working hard. I gotta
Right.
push today. And then use that, because you should be able to get this course out by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Finish up the course, talk to your friends, launch it. You already have all the skills to do it.
I do. There's no
And
question.
so what would the most resilient version of Gord be doing?
Yeah.
He'd be doing this.
Yeah.
Right. And then remind yourself of that.
Yeah. I like so much the fact that you've used that language instead of saying, looking at what are the resistances as a focus. It's instead taking a positive spin on it, and meaning looking at how do I need to behave, perform, execute, take action to be resilient. And it's a different way of looking at it, which I like the spin of better. And thank you. I really appreciate that perspective.
Cool. And listen, in order to be resilient, there has to be resistance.
Yeah.
The story means nothing if there's no resistance.
Yeah.
There's no resiliency if it's easy.
Yeah. And it's actually looking at resistance in multiple ways, right? The resistance of what's causing me not to take action, and then being resistant to not fall back into the habits that were keeping me from progressing.
Right.
Yeah.
So every resistance in front of you right now is your opportunity to be resilient.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So can I shift to just another dimension about growth in terms of, so I have a YouTube channel. I haven't really nurtured a Facebook group, because I always sit there. I have the little critic in the head that's saying, well, what are you going to do? Make a group about video editing and Camtasia and YouTube and like, there's already a bunch of people out there. So it's always the little critic in my head telling me to stay small. And I kind of don't participate in social and publish and communicate enough, because it's other people's territory. And so, but for some reason, owning it and committing feels like so daunting because of where I am right now. And it's about, I understand taking action, but the accountability and commitment, there's some fear that I'm working through. And I think I don't want to sit back and look and go, well, I discovered with my near-death experience that it explains part of my emotional unwellness for a good part of the last year, and why I may not have stepped up because of how I was suffering, but I never knew what it was, because I thought it was just symptoms of past accidents and migraines that I used to fight for years, but it was much more severe than that. So I really need to step forward, and it's easy for me to rationalize with the rear view mirror, and I don't want to do that anymore. So
I'm going to talk you through some logic that will help a little bit, but it's not ultimately what I recommend. And I'll tell you then what to do, at least in my experience.
Thank you, Evan.
The logic is there's always room for quality at the top. Like, if you're good, there's always room. Mm-hmm. And just because you're not, should I not do what I do because Tony Robbins does what he does?
Right.
Like, I may never get to be as good as Tony Robbins at helping people, but it doesn't mean that I still can't have an impact.
Right.
So just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You're going to bring it with your message, your skill, your talent. But that speaks at a very logical level.
Right.
The other logical part is, it doesn't matter if it's a Facebook group or a YouTube channel or an e-course or a website or a landing page or whatever. Like, they're all just tactics.
Yes.
The shorter you can get from thinking to doing, you'll have ultimate success. You may start a Facebook group and hate it.
Yeah.
And leave after 3 months, or it may be the best thing ever and you're cheating yourself the opportunity of trying.
Yeah.
And so, more important than does it work is, did I enjoy it? Because if you enjoy Camtasia, you'll get good at it, and then you can have success using it. If you don't enjoy it, then there's no point going down that path and trying to be an expert at it, because somebody's always going to be better than you.
Yeah.
And so just that logical perspective shift. But I don't think that actually helps you on a day-to-day. Mm-hmm. I think the best thing for you is to figure out what it is that makes Gord feel resilient on a day-to-day basis, and incorporate that into your morning routine.
Okay.
Whether that's, for me, it's my videos. Like, my videos, I make selfishly for myself, and then I share it with the world, and I'm so thankful that people like them too. because
Yeah.
it allows me to build a team and build a company. But I would still be doing them for myself because I need it, because I want to be around Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and these people every day.
Right.
So what is it that makes Gord feel resilient every day and do that thing every morning? Whether that is watching a video or reading a book or meditating outside or whatever the thing is that makes you feel resilient.
Yeah.
I have a video course called 254 Confidence.
Right. I signed up for that.
Okay,
Just
so like,
recently.
are you watching them every day?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like 3-4 days in though.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's a start. Like, and if they help, great, keep going, because it's like going to the gym. The biggest thing that you need to ultimately do is flex your mindset. You got to change the mindset. You got to shift and grow stronger in the mindset, and that's going to come from consistent exposure to people who believe the things that you want to believe.
Right.
And so, like, we're having a moment here, and that's great, and that'll shift for a few moments, but then tomorrow it's going to be back to being the old Gord.
Yeah, I need to build the muscle of confidence is really what I think is a nice way of summarizing it all up, because I use and the thing is, I think we have a tendency, at least I do at times, to just use that lack of confidence label as an excuse for not taking action and staying in the comfort zone. And I want to break out of that. And I was gonna like say, God, wouldn't it be cool if one day I could appear on a chat with Evan with other people and be able to share that I cracked it, and you can too, and I'm not a youngster.
Yeah.
And I would just think that's a big thing inside me that's keeping me going through the grind and the hustle to make it happen. And like you said, the biggest steps are ahead, but I also want to look back and I have to be grateful the fact that, hey man, I got here and I've built some authority on YouTube already and I'm on the right path. Now I just need to, for whatever reason, I got stuck on a plateau.
And I think
amp it up. Yeah.
If my 254 series helps you, awesome. It's free. Like, keep doing it every day. I think the shifts, just like when you go into the gym and you work out, you don't see your muscles grow after one session or 5 sessions.
Right.
Or it's a consistency, and you look back over 3 months, it's like, wow, like I'm getting stronger. Like I don't recognize that Gord
right
from 6 months ago. I've grown a lot, and I've noticed this with my own content.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the example with the CEO that I signed? Have you heard that story?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so growing up, my parents are very humble. They're on the wall behind me. I didn't know that I suffered too much from lack of confidence, but just humbleness. And and that's a great thing. I think humbleness is a great thing, but can also be counterproductive when you're off trying to do big things.
Right.
I just signed a deal with the CEO of a major company, and he's got 15,000 employees and multi-billion-dollar revenue. And I'm driving with my dad in his car, and he said, "What gave you the confidence to go and talk to this guy, and then also on your show feel like you're his equal?" So we're both answering questions from the audience like we're equals.
Right.
What gave you the confidence to do that? And he wasn't asking me that in a like, "Well, you suck. Like, who are you to think you can do that?" It was more out of genuine awe and genuine excitement for me. And when he asked me the question, I was thinking, I respect this CEO, but I'm hanging out with Oprah Winfrey and Steve Jobs and all these people every day. I didn't think of it as some huge deal.
Right.
But the Evan of 5 years ago would have been too nervous to even make that call. Would have thought, who am I to be? I would have thought the same way that my dad thought. Like, who am I to go off and talk to this guy?
Right. Well, I that angle, I call it, I fight naysayers, some are even family members, and I struggle because, there's attachment and long-term relationship there. And it's like, like, you don't have any money to show for this. Like, why aren't you quitting and getting a job?
But
and
see, this wasn't a naysayer. My dad wasn't a naysayer. He was encouraging, but I would have thought the same way 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have felt, who am I to go off and do that thing? So what changed in the 5 years?
Self-doubt is what you're saying. It would have been
100%.
Right. Okay.
What changed in the 5 years that made me go from being totally unwilling to have that conversation to now feeling like it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
What changed? The thing that changed was my daily habit of making videos and consuming the content, of being around
Right.
Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and these people every day,
Yeah.
because my environment wasn't that before. And so I had to make it that. And it wasn't with intention that I did that. It just felt like I enjoyed it. But then I saw, you know what? Wow. That was the moment that I realized, wow, this thing really works. Like watching the videos or reading the books or whatever the thing is that helps you actually works. That's what shifts you. So whether the 254 confidence is a thing or you build your own, whatever makes Gord feel resilient every day, surround yourself with that.
Okay.
And it may get frustrating because you may do it for 10 days and not feel any different. But if you keep doing it, you'll look back in 3 months and say, holy cow, like I've grown quite a bit.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I mentioned the concept of the naysayer for actually referencing a different angle point is that, you know, we sometimes have people with all kinds of opinions around us and telling you what you should do and what you're not executing on. And that kind of stuff I sometimes let just get too much of me. And then I go, hey, I started this. I got to where I am. And that's because of my hustle and grind. And everyone has opinions. And I got to be careful not to let that stuff intercede with me driving forward towards my goal. Because, you know, people, you know, I'm doing live now a lot more. And Evan, like a year ago, I was like trembling. Now I'm doing one a week. And it's been great, and the reception's been good, and a lot of people are pushing me to consider podcast to do the interviews. And so I look back, that's an example for me where a year ago I would have said you're crazy, and now it's like, maybe I'm going to make this a regular thing,
right?
And so I say, and then that momentum is inside is building to say, see, look what the potential is. You don't know until you have the experiences and start to see what's possible for you, right?
Yep. I mean, I know we're running out of time, but I would still say come back to any of those situations where you doubt yourself, whether it's your own voice saying, Gord, you can't do this, or there's somebody on your live chat or friends or somebody around you saying, Gord, like, give up, man. Like, you're too old. Like, you're never going to do this. I would always come back to say, what would the most resilient version of Gord do? And then do that. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Evan. And I'm going to keep you posted because it forces a sense of accountability on me. And someday maybe I'll have a great story to share that can help people.
What episode number is this for you, for your show?
Oh, in terms of my lives?
Sure.
I've done about, no, I'm saying what I am doing more live, but this I just recorded as something that was just like a private thing with you and me.
Okay.
I haven't decided yet whether I should be putting this out as a degree of vulnerability of myself. And
yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's how people will connect with you.
Okay. Well, I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna do that to package it up. But I guess so.
You don't need packaging. Just put it like that. That's resiliency. What are you so afraid of? You're afraid of what people think of you. Now you have to do it. If you ever feel yourself playing small, like this is playing small, like I'm worried about what people will think when they see this video.
Right.
Don't edit anything. Like keep it all. Like the worst, the most painful, vulnerable parts, that's what people are going to love you for the most.
Okay. That's right. I'm on a journey and people connect with where I'm at. It doesn't have to be perfect.
It's the next step in confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many lives do you do a week?
Well, I was doing one for a while. The big thing that got me started was the YouTube Partner Program last January when I was 1,000 hours short and I had to triple my performance in a month. And I pulled it off and shared it with everybody and people loved it. And I go, yeah, wow, look at that. I was burned out and cooked at the end of the month and exhausted, but it showed me that I had a lot of potential. And that's why I'm starting to do this more. But I fight different, angles of whether I should and shouldn't be doing it. And I get carried away by the stats rather than what's in my heart.
So let me pitch you this idea. If you post this video that we just recorded with very minimal editing, Don't edit out any good stuff. Just like if you're going to throw some Camtasia effects on it, awesome.
Okay.
Then after you do another 50 videos on your channel, I'll come back and we'll do another session.
Okay. You got a deal.
All right.
Going to be, this is Gord.
If you don't post this video, I'm not coming back, Gord.
Okay. I heard it. And so will everyone else here. Okay.
I'm so pumped for you.
So much.
I think you could have a huge impact, and I'm cheering for you, man.
I greatly appreciate it. And thank you so much. And I thoroughly enjoy your content. I watch it regularly, and I can't wait for your forthcoming book. It's on confidence, right?
It is. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Is that coming at the end of this year or early next year? Or?
December 6th.
Awesome. We'll be there.
Thanks you, Gord.
Again, Evan. Cheers.
Talk to you soon, man. Cheers.
Bye. As you can see, I got my work cut out for me going forward. I look forward to sharing with you my progress along the way, and it will be really cool to catch up with Evan again for another coaching session. See you soon.